I'm Katherine Liontas Warren, and I live in Cache, Oklahoma. This is my beautiful studio. I'm surrounded by the work that I have made and by others too. I'm originally from New England. I grew up in New England. I grew up by the ocean, and I moved to Cache, Oklahoma 37 years ago. I was hired to teach at Cameron University to teach printmaking and the drawing classes and the watercolor classes. So I recently retired. I retired in May of 2021. And even while I was teaching, I was making art full-time, and I was having shows nationally. And being a printmaker, I was making a lot of prints and showing those in different venues. And probably about, maybe 6 years ago, I just started to paint more. I was always painting, but I felt like watercolor was like a medium for me that I really wanted to do something that was a little bit more spontaneous, not as process-oriented, and I wanted to be freer with my work. So these paintings that I'm doing that you see on the wall here and then you see on this table right over here are all about memories that kind of come back to me from childhood or even through my adulthood. They're personal, but they're also universal too, because I'm trying to create a mood here, and I'm trying to talk about how water takes on different shapes, and whether it's the calming effect, maybe it's the storms, who knows, but I just feel that I'm being drawn back to something from the past. And I've also been very inspired by several artists, Turner for one, and I felt like I had a connection with Turner in the use of color. So you can see that some of these colors that I have right along here are fairly bright and intense. I really enjoy paintings that are implied, where they're not giving you a photographic image. So my paintings are very intuitive and investigate kind of how I'm feeling. It's more of about a certain mood or an element that's happening in my life. But you notice that the water becomes really the most important element here. And you can see that the water is calm, the water is destructive, the water is changing continuously. And this little boat here is like almost, trying to get away from this large monumental wave. So maybe, in some ways, maybe it's about me. Maybe I'm trying to get away from certain things that are occurring in my life. That's the thing about being an artist. Sometimes we all want to tell a story about ourselves, but sometimes it's just about the elements and the principles of art. Sometimes it's just about balance. Sometimes it's just about movement. Sometimes it's about color. And sometimes it's just about how things are put together. Then I started looking at, believe it or not, Victor Hugo. So from there, I started doing a whole little series of ink washes. And again, I'm trying to get this feeling, I'm trying to get this mood without relying on any photographs. All this is basically from memory. And it's not very difficult for me to work from memory because I'm pretty perceptive of what I see within myself. And the lino cuts are really different from the paintings because, the lino cuts are a little bit more structured, they're a little bit more linear. So in some ways, the lino cuts are a little bit more cerebral, they're more on the left side of the brain, and the paintings are more on the right side of the brain, which they're highly emotive and highly emotional.